Good morning. Welcome. Today we're going to keep going with the Yoga Sutras, and we're on Sutra 117. So I'm just going to start with what Swami Satchidananda has to say here. He says, Samprajnata Samadhi, which is distinguished contemplation, is accompanied by reasoning, reflecting, rejoicing, and pure I amness. Distinguished contemplation is how they define Samprajnata Samadhi. So what he says in the discussion is that there's multiple kinds of samadhi, which I think is interesting for us to consider as we practice and we're working to whatever this practice has to offer. Sometimes I feel personally that I get caught up in, why am I doing this? Like, is my goal to attain the ultimate samadhi, like the liberation from this world? And I can't say that that's honestly what I'm seeking at this point in my life. I feel like peace of mind and some other things are a closer goal for me than complete liberation. I live in the world, and I'm not really ready to leave the world in that way. I own a business and I have friends that I enjoy being with. And so the ultimate liberation isn't necessarily what I'm aiming for, but what he talks about here, this kind of samadhi called samprajnata, is something that seems like a nice step along the way towards maybe some future state. And what he says about this kind of samadhi is that it's really what the practice is. It's one-pointedness, and it helps us distinguish between what's real and he doesn't actually use the word not real, but not physical. So as we move through his discussion, he talks about the first of these kinds of samadhi being practiced on gross objects. It's called savitarka samadhi. And then on subtle elements, which he calls savichara samadhi. And then the mind devoid of any objects except its own bliss, he calls it joy, sa ananda samadhi. So what this is telling us is that the place to start on our journey towards this liberation or this samadhi is with stuff that's real, which to me is really the essence of how my practice of yoga plays into all of this. So this journey of liberation, for me, started with the physical practice of yoga. And then even when I think about my journey through meditation as a evolution of my practice of yoga, it starts with something physical, which in my case is the breath and the body. And what he explains in his discussion is that we have to start with something concrete. The mind is more adept at working with things that are concrete than things that are not tangible. My journey through this practice of meditation really began in earnest when I went to my Vipassana retreat. And that 10-day silent retreat, the first teaching is a teaching of meditating on the breath. And it's a very physical focus as we begin the practice. And my experience of it over that first 10-day intensive practice was that we were led into feeling the breath physically in our nose. And then we were taught to pay attention to the experience of sensations in our body. And then there's, for me, a possibility of narrowing the attention to the more subtle and subtle sensations in the body with earnest practice. And then my experience has been an awareness from the physical to the what I'll call metaphysical. So beyond just physical sensation, what is the nature of who I am? And the punchline, I think, is that we're energy, right? We learn this in physics class, like everything's made of energy. But I think the practice of yoga actually, it's a mystical, like self-directed experience of understanding that idea. So what I'm saying is, what he's saying is that we start in the physical and then we get curious and see what we can learn from understanding the physical in greater depth. And if we go down to the depth of what the physical reality is, it's actually energy. And then from there, what's possible? I don't know. I have ideas. Our practice today is going to be starting with the breath, and then I'm going to invite us to get more and more curious about what's at the essence of the breath. All right, we're going to just do the practice, which is to start with something physical and see where it takes each of us. It won't be very different than the usual, but maybe just a new perspective on it. Any questions or comments before we begin? Okay. So go ahead and create your posture. Create your foundation. So before we even get to breath, start in kind of the grossest form, which is your body, the experience of your seat and your feet. And then physically do something with your hands that's intentional, on purpose. Feel what's there, what you touch. You're invited to close your eyes, or even just lowering your eyes. Start by just the simple act of noticing that you're breathing. Watching the breath come in to your body. There's a physical reaction. And observing the physical experience of your exhalations. Today, start with the most physical expression of your breath that you can witness. For me, that's actually the movement of my belly, my abdomen. So my belly expands, I feel it pressing into my clothing and then softening. Allow yourself to notice sort of the visible sensory experience of your breath in your body. If somebody were observing you, they might be able to actually see your breath moving. An expansion and a softening. And now bring your attention to the breath sensations inside your nose. So, a sensory experience of the breath in and the breath out. Not visible to an outside observer, but sensed by your own inner observer. It might be the temperature of your breath that you sense. And allow your attention to just rest on the sensations that might not be seen but can be felt. And the practice is to develop concentration on the physical. So keep coming back to the sensation. If your mind wanders, maybe a half smile, recognition, coming back to the breath. Now shift your attention from your nose to your hands. Notice the sensation of your fingertips and whatever they're touching. Get any sense of the energy inside your hands at your fingertips. The contact point between your fingertips and whatever they're touching. It might be the air, it might be some clothing or each other, skin. You might feel the beat of your own heart in your fingertips. Let your attention rest on anything that you feel in your hands. From a place of just open curiosity. What's here? And draw your attention from your hands up the length of your forearms. Start to notice any sensation in your forearms. You might feel the temperature of the room on your skin. Or maybe you have a sense of the energy inside your arms. We know that there's a lot of activity under the skin. Blood flows, cells vibrate. And bringing your hands and your forearms into your awareness. So you're from your fingertips all the way to your elbows, an awareness of anything that's detectable in your awareness. Tethering your mind back to your physical body when it wanders off. And bringing your attention back to your breath. And notice the sensations in your nose. The sensations in any other part of your body, your belly, your chest. And now take a bigger, fuller breath. Do that again, another nice, big, full breath. You can open your eyes. He says, the samadhis are a process of going inward, not evolution, but involution. Involution. Thoughts or comments or questions? Marcia, please.
I'm just curious. I've shared with you that I have this essential tremor, and when I get into my meditations, I really feel that energy. I mean, when you were saying in your hands, it was I've just got it just flowing. And I just wonder from anybody else if that energy, like I want to get up and just, it's really hard to just stay. And I come back to the breath and I still can feel it, but it's very weird. And it just validates the energy in our bodies, but it wants to explode. Just curious from anybody else if they feel that energy ever. No, you all look like me. What is she talking about?
I
All
know what
right.
you're talking about. Yeah, so I mean this whole little journey we're doing of following the sutras down this path, um, it's working. So there's curiosity, and this is a bit of a guidebook, but we're each going to have our own experience. I think your essential tremor is a gift.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
it's opened your awareness to something that's been present
Mm-hmm.
and it's here more. I mean, you've got a real reminder on a constant basis of that energy that's there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I invite you to get more and more curious about it and work with it.
Yeah.
I mean, that feeling of wanting to get up and go, move the energy, I think that's the basic thing that happens to everybody when they sit,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, that's the first thing I teach people when they ask me how to meditate. I'm like, well, just set a timer and try to sit still. Like it's hard. And when there's energy inside us, whether it's anxiety or physical energy or anger or sadness, we want to run away from it and we try to find ways to numb it. Um, and sometimes actually allowing it to be and getting curious about it is the way through it. Often, that's the only way, is to go through it. And so your practice is inviting you to, I mean, it's a little more intense for you than it is for the rest of us. There's like a really physical messaging that you're getting of like, are you going to be able to handle this? Some of us, it's just thoughts, and you get both. You're muted, Marcia. Unmute yourself.
Right now, like my feet, I mean, it's just there's just energy. That's all it is. And it's not just since my sister passed, but this is it. And I like thinking about it as a gift, but it's just here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've tapped into something, and now that you're aware of it, it's hard to ignore, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's our practice is, can we stay with what's here? And you're getting a little bit of a test. Your what's here is more than some of our what's here. And that's got to be hard. Um, but if we look at our challenges as being our teachers, which is part of what I've learned over the years, is our challenges are our greatest opportunities for transformation. Paula.
I occasionally get the sensation of like tingling in my fingertips. Like I did a little bit today. Um, when I do my yoga practice and after we do the qigong, I'll get that sensation. And a while back I took Khan's
Yoga Nidra?
meditation. Yeah. I did it at home, and it was like overwhelming. It's like my whole body would just, it like heated up. It was just the strangest thing. I hope she has that offers that again, because I would love to take it again.
We can make that happen.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, you know that you're both describing an experience of awareness of prana, the energy of our body. And sometimes we're very numb to it, and sometimes we're very awake to it, and sometimes we're given an opportunity to wake up more to it. It's our life force. It's our very nature is energy. And I mean, I moved through most of my life without any awareness of it at all. I mean, we have experiences of it. You know, pain is a great experience of it. It's like an acute sense of energy in the body that is typically unpleasant and that we want to avoid. But there's all this other subtle energy that's always there that we just don't even notice. And it's there. And the practice for me is to just get to develop greater awareness of what's actually happening. Like, so now when we don't have much time, but you know, now when, you know, somebody like my husband gets angry, I can see beyond the emotion of it to the energy of it, to that there's something in him that needs to be released, that's bubbling inside him. And it gives me patience and compassion to see, like, yeah, there's like a building energy here that he needs to do something with. It's not about me or the thing that he's angry at. You know, like, it's just an awareness of, like, the nature of this stuff is like we're just energy beings bouncing off each other. And if we can see, like, oh, that's what's happening, it's like, okay, like it's okay. It's like sometimes you need to protect yourself from energy, and sometimes you need to open yourself up to energy. And it's neutral if we can see that it's that way. And then there's more patience and compassion for all the various forms of it. That's my experience so far. All right, well, we're out of time. I hope you have a wide awake day. If it gets too loud, you know, move the energy. Come do some yoga. Namaste, you guys.
Thank you. Namaste.
The light in me sees the light in you.
Namaste. Namaste.
Bye, everyone.